Welcome back, everyone. I'm really excited for today's guest. She's someone who has been in this work for over 2 decades, built a certified dementia practitioner provider agency from the ground up in the Chicago area, and whose company operates under the simple but powerful belief that home is where independence thrives. Sharon Newman, CEO of The Right Choice Home Care. Sharon, welcome.
Thank you, Norman. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So 24 plus years in the field, that's a long time to stay close to the same work. I'm curious, what's the belief about what's great home care looks like that has stayed constant across all of that? Excuse me.
Yeah, so I started out as a caregiver, Norman, believe it or not. So many moons ago, fresh out of high school, I started as a caregiver. I wanted to be a nurse, but that didn't work out for me for a whole lot of reasons. So I decided I still want to help people. I love giving back. And the best way for me to do that is by providing care. And then once I did that, I said, you know what? There's another level to this. Let me see about running my own company. I want to help more people because I felt like I can help more people, not just one person one day at a time. Right. And so having an agency, I can put the right people in places so they can help more people. And being in the healthcare field has been very rewarding from one client to the next. And my philosophy, yes, of course, home is best. And that's where most people will thrive, especially in the days of difficulties or lack of mobility or dementia or the onset thereof. So for me and my husband Jonathan, who we started this business almost 11 years ago, it has been our joy to serve the population of clients that truly believe in staying at home and thriving at home.
I understand. So you and your co-owner are both certified dementia practitioners, and the Right Choice is a certified dementia practitioner provider agency. That's a specific credential investment that not every home care agency makes. Why was that non-negotiable for how you built this?
Well, a couple of things about that, Norman. We did not set out to be a certified dementia agency. It just happened that the clients that we were onboarding were did have dementia, and we would see the signs and symptoms of. And in the beginning of our care career, we found that a lot of those clients who was exhibiting those symptoms of dementia weren't even being diagnosed or getting properly diagnosed by their family members or a physician. And so, in order to be able to care for those individuals, our caregivers need to be able to understand the disease and the disease process and the different types of dementia disease there is out there. And so, because of that, we made it our business to become a certified dementia agency, as well as my husband and I are dementia practitioners, and our caregivers all have to undergo the training to become certified in dementia. So it's not just the owners being certified in dementia, it is also the caregivers who have to take that extra step to understand the disease process and to know the signs of symptoms so they can know how to redirect and properly care for that specific client, because no two people are the same and no two processes of how that individual is experiencing it is the same. But one thing for sure is you will get someone who understands the disease process that's caring for your loved one. So definitely that is a non-negotiable for us. You don't want to be dementia certified. So sorry you can't come and work here.
Right, that's awesome. It's a level of care that standard that you guys continue with your practice. That's excellent. So
Absolutely.
I noticed on your site that you deliberately match clients with local caregivers. The idea that proximity and consistency matter. When do you realize that wasn't just nice to have, but actually a core part of delivering good care?
Well, I noticed that early on before we even opened our agency as a caregiver out in the field, it is always a goal of that individual to be able to go to the same client day in and day out. And I understand caregivers, want to make ends meet, and sometimes agency have to send them, 5 or 6 different places in order to fulfill the desire of caring for clients. However, if a client, especially one with dementia, as we're talking about dementia, if there's no consistency there, there's no continuity of care. Imagine your loved one having dementia, and every other day there's a new face and a new caregiver. There is in no way that individual can have continuity of care, because every time a new person comes in, the routine has to be learned all over again. And imagine that individual who's not able to give that feedback on the care that they need or what needs to be done is now left without the level of care that they absolutely need in order to thrive for the day. So the matching the skill set is absolutely important. Continuity and consistency of care is what the client needs day in and day out, and that too is a non-negotiable. It may not happen 100% of the time, but our goal is for it to be effective at least 90% of the time, because life happens to caregivers and they're not always able to make it to work, but to ensure that that individual always have someone to care for them and not leaving them without care.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So, what struck me is that the right choice doesn't just provide caregivers. You run chair yoga for seniors, dementia support groups, caregiver support classes. What's that's a whole community infrastructure on top of the service. How do you let how does that layer part of your model, and what does it do for families that direct care alone can't?
Well, a few things with that is, yes, it offers a space for the adult children as well, right? Because it's not just the senior who can use the chair yoga or the classes, but to find a place where people can come together and talk about their issues or just a relief for the day. It has always been our goal at Right Choice Home Care to have a one-stop shop for the seniors, because when that first phone call is made, you give the resource or you are the resource. But then what follows behind that? It's a series of unknowns, of questions, of unanswered questions that you or your family may need. For instance, you may need a neurologist. You may need an internal medicine physician. You may need a podiatrist. You may need someone to mow the lawn. You may need someone to get rid of the snow. We are that resource for our clients. We want to be able to say, hey, by the way, we know that there is a real threat out there where seniors are being taken advantage of. And if we provide those resources, it is someone that we're sending in that we know, like, and trust. And if that family member lives out of state or has to be at work, our caregivers can sit in with their loved one to ensure that those things are complete, those tasks are complete. So having the yoga, having the dementia classes, having the caregiver support classes is just a minor thing to help relieve the day-to-day stress of our clients and their loved ones.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, you're serving across the Chicago Metro, Cook, Will, DuPage, excuse me if I pronounced this wrong, but Kankakee and beyond. And I saw Brazil listed as as a service area, which generally stopped me mid scroll. What's that vision behind that geographic reach, and what does expansion look like for the right choice?
Well, so for minor correction there, Belize. I am from Belize, and
Okay.
so it is important because care expands across the world, right? It's not just in the United States, and you have people who are retiring and going back home or want to retire in Belize. And so, because Belize is home for me, I feel like the people who want to retire and go back home can have the level of care that they would get here if they were in the United States. And
That's
so
awesome.
it's a big deal for me for several reasons, not just because it's home, but because being of the home care industry and coming from a caregiving background, no matter where I am in the world, it is important to me that care is delivered the correct way. I see people say that they give care and they're a caregiver and don't know proper transfer techniques. For instance, they'll pull the individual by the hands to get them up. That's a no-no. We don't do that, right? So doing it correctly for me is a big deal. And so you mentioned Kankakee counties. We do service 6 counties in the state of Illinois. And we, again, want to be able to match individuals in the area that they live. So if we have a client in Kankakee, we need a caregiver who's at least 20 minutes around and outside of Kankakee. Gas is high, that right now. You know, Life expenses is very costly. And so for a caregiver to have to drive an hour to get to work and an hour back, can you imagine the amount of money that they have to pay gas and then look at their paycheck and say, why am I even going to work? Because ends are not meeting. So expansion for us, we are looking to expand further outside of Illinois and Belize. And so there are other states that we are currently looking into expanding. So stay tuned for that, Norman.
Excellent. I will definitely stay tuned for that. So, your team handles some of the most emotionally intense situations a family can face: Alzheimer's progression, ALS, palliative and end of life care. What do you wish more people understood about in-home care can actually provide in those moments versus what families assume they need to go elsewhere for?
Mm, Thank you for that question. Yes. So for me, families need to understand that home care is not the be all end all, right? It can be to a certain degree. However, or palliative care or home health, we're all one part of the one care team. And sometimes families don't understand that home care, or even physicians sometimes don't understand that home care is an intervention, right? It is an intervention for that person who is coming home from the hospital and has just had surgery, and it helps with that hospital readmit or that nursing home readmit. So where people make caregiving is they think, oh, well, I can do this. Well, let's think about that for a second. You're going to take time off work. You're not going to be getting paid. You have your children. You may possibly well have your grandchildren. And then what happens? You then become angry, resentful, because now you're taking that time away from yourself and your family to go and take care of mom and dad. And so there's that resentment that sets in because mom may say, oh, well, I don't need home care. Well, the truth of the matter is, you're already providing home care to mom or dad. They just don't see someone else coming in other than you doing it. Whereas you don't have time to stop, take off of work. If you do, it's maybe 1 to 2 weeks. And then it's, what do I do after that? I need someone to come in and help my mom or dad. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that they underestimate what hospice can do for them. People hear hospice, Norman, and they take off running in the other direction,
Mm-hmm.
not looking back, not understanding that truly hospice is a resource for your loved one. When you say hospice and the family members say, oh, no, 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 I don't think we're ready for that. Well, what is it that you're not ready for? Are you not ready for your loved one to get some comfort? Are you not ready for your loved one to have a bath nurse to come in a few times a week to help alleviate some of your stress? Are you not ready for a nurse to come in and keep eye on mom and dad once a week to let you know what's going on? Or is it that you are personally not ready because you think mom is going to die tomorrow? That is not the scenario. There are plenty of people who go beyond 1 to 2 years on hospice. I like to say live on hospice, don't die on hospice, because there are plenty of resources there that you can gain on hospice. And as far as palliative care is concerned, it is that pain management, right? It is that scope beyond what your regular physician can prescribe to you. So if your loved one is suffering with pain, why? There's palliative care. There's no need for that. So families really need to do their research and understand truly what these other services bring to your loved one and not just turn it away because it sounds scary to you.
It makes a lot of sense. And you're right. I mean, when people hear hospice, they get immediately concerned that, this is the end of stage, it's the end of life scenario. But what you just laid out was very interesting. Thank you for sharing. So, you're running a real operation, 24/7 availability, multiple county specialized care teams. What signals or metrics are you tracking right now to know you're moving in the right direction? And how do you stay calibrated on quality when the work is so distributed?
Mm, yes, thank you for that question. Yeah, it's a team effort. I can't say that Sharon Newman does it by herself. It is a team effort. We have our scheduling team, we have our development team, we have our client care coordinator, we have a team of people that ensure that every client is staffed continuously. We have a team that ensures that our caregivers are showing up to work, not burned out, and providing the level of care that our clients deserve. So we have different systems in place to help track not just our KPI, but to ensure the quality of care. We also have a third party that takes on those anonymous surveys for us, and it has helped us to become a 3-time award-winning agency because we do care. It's not just something that we say. We do care, and we're not just the ones saying it. Our clients and our caregivers are saying that we are doing a great job, and that's the reason why we have been awarded those accolades for being the best in home care.
Yeah, that's important, and that's excellent. That's awesome. So, Sharon, it's genuinely been valuable. Thank you for your openness and for sharing the depth of what you've built. I really do appreciate your time, and it's been amazing speaking to you. Thank you again.
It's my pleasure, Norman.